What is going on, everyone? Tim Williams here. We're here to break down tonight's Monday Night Showdown, Monday Night Football game. We have the Bears taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers at home in Pittsburgh. It is a low point total game. We have a lot to talk about here. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. What's going on? My name is Tim. The whole point of this channel is to learn and grow together to become profitable and better GPP players. If that sounds good to you, make sure to hit that like button, but more importantly, subscribe to the channel and let's learn and win together. There's a lot to talk about in this one, and I really think we're going to find some sort of path that we like. I primarily like to play GPP, so that'll be my strategy. That'll be more of my focus. But cash games, I think there's certainly plenty of options to go with here. DK, not really messing around with pricing, but we'll get into that. Not a ton of value. Let's just dive right in, shall we? I like to typically look at the point totals here. So 39.5 point total spread. That is not very high. Pittsburgh favored by a touchdown. So their Vegas lines are indicating that the Bears are probably going to be playing from behind, therefore possibly throwing the ball a little bit more. But Justin Fields, rookie quarterback, we just know he's better on the ground. So hopefully he runs a little bit more. He has that leash kind of taken off him a little bit. I only like Fields if he's going to rush. We don't know if it's going to happen. Last week, he had 10 attempts on the ground, 103 rushing yards. This is what this kid does. He scored a touchdown on the ground. The one real negative downside to him is he's a rookie quarterback. He has thrown 7 interceptions. He has fumbled 8 times this year. That is horrible. He's 15, turnovers, so to speak. I know some of the fumbles he didn't actually lose, but the point is he's fumbling the ball. He's throwing interceptions. He's making mistakes, as he should. He's a rookie quarterback. I just don't see the upside at 10.4K to spend up to get Fields here. Therefore, making his wide receivers a little bit tougher for me to get to, but we'll talk about it. If I'm going anywhere with the Bears, I think it's going to be with the running backs. We've seen it a lot this year in Showdown where the running backs and tight ends have just been running amok, winning people, GPPs, et cetera, et cetera. And I think tonight is no different, at least for the Bears. Montgomery and Herbert. Montgomery is supposed to be coming off the IR today. If he does, he is definitely my lean, although I think Herbert is very much in the mix too. Let's talk about Herbert first. Herbert really filled in quite nicely here, 23 rushing attempts, and then 18, 19, 18 before that. He really put a number on Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay has like the number one, rushing defense in all of the NFL. He got 100 yards on the ground against them. I think he just has some upside. I mostly have interest in Herbert if Montgomery is out. Montgomery himself really has pass catching ability. I think Fields, if he's going to throw the ball, it's going to be somewhat close, right? He might check down to his backs, maybe throw to his tight ends. Some of the positives that people are kind of overlooking with Fields is he does have 303 air attempts last week. So that is a positive sign. He is averaging 3.63 deep attempts per game. So he is willing to throw the ball at least, but just not maybe accurately with all those interceptions. So definitely leaning on the running backs here. I think if the Bears win or want to keep it close, it has to come from the ground game or short. We'll scroll down here a little bit. Cole Kmet, I think he's in play. He's just really expensive, so that's hard for me to get to, but he does have some target share this year. Last game, 6 targets. The game before that, 6 targets there, but I think he kind of lacks the upside. Hasn't found the end zone yet so far this season, but definitely in play. Goodwin here, Marquise Goodwin, wide receiver 3, kind of pricey here, but I think he is somewhat in play for sure. I think he gets some sort of looks. He did play 43% of the snaps in week 8. I think he's a punt option in GPPs. And then I think the kicker is fine. I kind of lean towards the Pittsburgh kicker because I think they will kind of lead in this game. If the Bears are playing from behind, it's going to be hard for Santos to rack up the points, but he's definitely in play. Jesse James at 3K, kind of priced up a little bit. He had 3 targets the last game, 3 targets the game before that, catching all of his passes, 12.8 fantasy points, found the end zone last week. It's definitely possible. However, Jimmy Graham is off the IR, I think as of today or yesterday. Not that Jimmy Graham is like in play, maybe in the Millie Maker type of contest. He's only had one reception, and that was week 1 against the Rams. He's just not really seeing the field a lot. I think with Jesse James in there and Kmet, they're running a lot of 2 tight end sets, probably trying to protect Fields. And I just think that Fields is going to be throwing the ball short. So I definitely lean running backs for sure. And I think that's pretty much wraps up the Bears side. Kmet, I will say 94% of the snaps he played last week, ran the most routes last week, tied with Mooney. If I were to take one of these stud receivers, mind you, neither of these receivers have really gotten more than 10 targets from Justin Fields. I prefer Mooney if he's in play. It just seems like Fields and Mooney have more of a connection. 9 targets, 5, 8, 5. So kind of inconsistent, but it's clearly like, I think Mooney is their number 1 wide receiver. Again, leaning with the running backs. I think you could fade Fields here if you, I just think you can. On the other side with the Steelers, this is where it gets a little bit more interesting. Steelers somewhat kind of predictable. Like we know what they're going to do. Najee Harris, quite the steal in the draft, 5 touchdowns on the year. Just really, really just getting fed the ball a ton. 26 rushing attempts, 24, 23, 15, 14 before that. He has a ton of receiving upside. He's the guy. He is going to be on the field quite often. 88.34% of snaps on the field this season. He's running routes, 19, 32, 24 routes ran the last 3 weeks. He's catching passes, just super consistent. He had 1 dud against Buffalo week 1. And then after that, 19, 31, 21, 25, 24, 21. I just don't see how you can fade Najee Harris. He is going to get most of the work in this game. And then other than that, let's talk about Ben Roethlisberger, quite up there in salary, 10.6K, I want to say. Yes, that's Ben. So Roethlisberger, 34 pass attempts last week. He's averaging 38.43 pass attempts each week. So that is good to see. He's going to throw the ball more. The one negative about him is he's not really a rushing quarterback, so I don't really want to play him in the captain spot. Also, another negative thing about him, 238 air yards last week. He's not really throwing the ball deep. He's kind of got Mr. Noodle Arm going on. 4 interceptions, also 5 fumbles. So he's also just kind of turning the ball over. Kind of makes me interested in the defense for the Bears side, right? Especially if it's going to be a low scoring game. It's just Roethlisberger has more upside than Fields for sure. However, he has not reached more than 18 DraftKings points so far this season. This might be a case where we could just fade both of these quarterbacks and lean on the running game. I'm so down for that. Otherwise, let's talk about receivers. Deante Johnson, the clear number 1 wide receiver, especially Juju out. Just also consistent. As far as DraftKings points, 15, 18, 15, 24, 22. You can easily put him in the captain spot. I have no problem with that. He is getting the most targets by far. I think it's him. I think it's Najee getting most of the work, and also Claypool as well. And then we'll talk about some of the other guys and their price points. But yeah, Deante Johnson, 13 targets. Just looks solid. He's the guy, right? 13, we just talked about. 30% target share on the season. Just kind of stamping the number 1 guy. So I love him here, 43% air yards last year. So if Ben is throwing downfield, it's going to be Deante Johnson. However, if they're in the red zone, I think all the work is going to go to Najee, and I think it's going to go to Chase Claypool and another guy we're going to get to. But Claypool only found the box 1 time this year. It doesn't matter, right? We're just talking about tonight. I think he has a good chance to get in there. He does see most of the red zone work as far as receivers go. So also Claypool, 97% of snaps played last week, higher end zone share than Deante Johnson. So I think both are in play. I would just probably pick one. They're somewhat pricey. And I think you could fade Ben at his price point. He's not going to break the slate. However, there is a chance, right? He could go off. We've seen it in the past, but I think he's just a little bit older. And then on the other side, you have a young quarterback with inexperience. So I think this is a slate where you're just going to have to get weird and different. The WR3, in my opinion, Pat Freiermuth, I think he's in play here. 7 targets the last 2 games. Is really taking on a big role here. He's the number 1 tight end. I think he's very much in play. So I like him a lot. 80% of snap shares last week, 26 routes ran. That is really nice to see. And then as far as punting goes, Not interested in Washington at 5-2. That's gross. Kicker, I think, is very well in play. 3.8K for Boswell. I think the Steelers probably win this game. It might be close, but we might just have to rely on some of these kickers. Snell, I don't think he's going to get a ton of work behind Harris. That's pretty obvious. It's not even worth the punt. If he was like 200, I would totally consider it. Other than that, Ebron's out, making a better case for Freiermuth. McFarland at 200. He's not going to really do nothing. I don't even know if he's on the team right now. And then where's Gentry? How much is Gentry here? The backup tight end. Gentry at 1.8K. I don't even feel comfortable about that, but 5 targets last week against the Browns, 0 week 6, 2 in week 5. So I think he's somewhat in play. He's on the field a lot, mostly just for blocking. I definitely prefer Freiermuth. But as far as like deep GPP goes, I think Gentry is in play. And let's build some lineups here. Clearly for me, I think I'm going to lean on the running backs. I love Najee in the captain spot, so let's throw him in there. Let's lean that way. And then if I can get Deante Johnson in there, because he's probably going to get most of the field work, I like that build. What else we like? Steelers defense. I think with the amount of times that Fields is capable of just throwing an interception or fumbling, they can return one back. I don't hate that. I don't hate the fact that Chris Boswell is probably out there kicking fieldies all day long. So very interested in that. We got to get some Bears guys in there though, right? To really get weird and unique, this is going to be crazy. And you're going to be like, what the hell is this guy talking about? But the Bears D at 2.6K. If you think this game's going to be close, I know they've had negative points the last 2 weeks, but they're capable of doing some damage. 20 points against Cincinnati, 9 points might be all you need. I don't hate the fact that you can play, a defense against some weapons on the other side. I really do not hate that. That is kind of crazy, and then look at that. You have enough salary to fit in one of these running backs, or you can go with Mooney, get a little different. So I am interested in like a kind of a Pittsburgh onslaught, but playing it close. Interested there. You could, on the Pittsburgh side, if we wanted to build like a Deante Johnson type of lineup, boo, 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 right in the captain there. Maybe you want to put Ben with him. I would never phase Harris, fade Harris. Phase Harris? I would not fade Harris probably in this slate. If I were to do it, it would just be in that Millie Maker contest, and you would just hope he gets injured, which we don't want to wish that upon anybody. You can bring it back with some Bears here. Bears are going to have to throw. Mooney would be my favorite target here. Then you really don't have much left, which kind of stinks. Really does. Bird is getting some snaps. I think he's played like 14% of snaps last week, I think. But like, I don't know. I don't even trust any of these wide receivers. Maybe you really can get weird with Jimmy Graham there. What if you put in James? Like it gets kind of ugly. I think you kind of just have to, if you're going to play Harris, I just don't think you need Ben in there. You could play the comeback script. You got the 2 big weapons there, Johnson and Harris. And then like, just say like, you just believe that Fields is going to run the ball a lot, right? You want to go here. Let's get a little weird too. Like let's pair him with Marquise Goodwin at 4.2K. I think he's a fine like spend. And then I don't know. You can go with Santos, and you're kind of left with just I don't know. You'd have to get really weird here. McLeod, I don't really like that build. I'm sorry. Maybe just don't go Fields, right? Like we're kind of seeing it live in the flesh. Maybe you want to go Claypool. Think he's going to get some work there. Najee's going to bring the game bring the team all the way down to the 10. Claypool just gets a target. You wouldn't hate that. If Montgomery's in, put in Montgomery. Then you gotta, Boswell, you think they're going to be leading. What else? Why can't I stop clicking both the defenses? You know what I'm saying? I just can't. Herbert, sure. So I don't know. There's somewhat of an idea. I think the majority of my teams, I'm probably only going to play a couple lineups, but I think it's going to be Najee up top with one of the 2, Deante Johnson or Claypool. And then going to run it back with some of the running backs over on Chicago, get some defense, some kicker action in there. I think this is going to be an ugly game. It might hit the under for all we know. I think both defenses show up. that's just my take on it. So thank you for watching. I hope this somewhat helped. I hope building these kind of give you an idea of some salaries. It's really, really ugly right in the middle. And I just don't think Justin Fields is going to be chucking the ball a lot. So we'll see. Last thing before I leave you, if both of these running backs are active for the Bears, you could see Montgomery, taking first and second downs and then Herbert going third down or vice versa, flip flop. They both have pass catching ability. So it's going to be really interesting here. So that'll do it. Sayonara, signing off. Best of luck to you in your contest. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment below. What do you think about this game tonight? Best of luck. Peace out.